I have two beautiful children. One's 11, one's 18. I'm a football coach to the little boy and a volleyball and school mentor to my girl. I've tried to be the best role model I can possibly be since they were born. And I've enjoyed nothing better than being a father of those two children this last 18 years. Professionally, I started my business career 38 years ago here in Hastings. I've had 12 businesses spanning over six cities in those 38 years. I've been in a very competitive market, in a competitive industry, and I've survived. And I've survived because I've got a lot of fight in me, a lot of perseverance, and it's been a pleasure to serve Hastings. Do I need to do something?
They're fixing you. That's why I went first.
Yeah, see, set me again. Are we better now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can't remember where I left off. I think I left off that I was darn proud to be a businessman here for 38 years in Hastings and abroad, and I've been successful. The reason I got into this race is because I sat back for a long time talking about how this town is being run, how things are being done, and how it needs to be run like a business. And that's exactly what I plan to do if you elect me as your mayor. I plan to unite a city council. I plan to work together. I plan to do what exactly a city council and a mayor is supposed to do, provide oversight to a city staff. I want checks and balances, and I want them to answer questions. And I'm done. One more thing, you got me.
Candidate Cranston.
All right. Good evening. My name's Jackie Cranston, and I am, thanks everyone for coming. I am, obviously my husband here, Matt, wife. I have 2 children, 3 stepkids, and then I always say we have a host son now as well that we hosted last year. So I'm also a business owner. I own Small Town Famous downtown. We've had a couple of rentals as well here. My husband and I have been in Hastings almost 10 years now, and we really liked it here. For someone, I always joke that I did not want to move to Hastings no matter what, no way, no how. I had a friend, and I got here and I loved it. I love everyone here. We love the schools here. We love having a family here. It's just a really good place to be in. So I just continue to get involved from the planning commission and then to the strategic plan and be involved in some boards around town and just gotten to know everyone, and this just kind of seemed like a good next step to get more involved. And my background, I went to law school and I passed the bar, got done with that, and I have an MBA, and so just kind of through all that stuff in my day-to-day, we make t-shirts, so we don't get into a lot of this kind of legal stuff, but I thought with the business stuff, running the city council, the government stuff, that's kind of a way to jump in and do some of that. And so I've just really enjoyed getting involved and watching Hastings grow and growing our business here, and just love being involved in Hastings. So that's kind of why I decided that it would be fun to run for mayor and give back to our community that's given so much to us.
She'll go first.
Okay.
All right, the first question, let's do this right. We will now have, move on to questions from the media. The media will be allowed 1 question each, and if you need a microphone, I'll bring mine over. We will hear first from the Hastings Tribune.
Good evening. Over the course of this election cycle, it's been noted that the mayor of Hastings needs to be engaged with the community and the work at hand. With that expectation in mind, I note that both of you are self-employed entrepreneurs with businesses to run and school-aged children. The position of mayor can be time-consuming and at times frustrating. It can cost you customers, it can cost you friends, and it can cost you time to spend with your family. What motivates you to make this kind of personal sacrifice? And if you win, how will you find the time and energy to do justice to the position of mayor?
1 minute answers.
Well, I think that successful people are always busy and they continue to be busy no matter what. But I think, just delegating things to other people. I think the mayor is a position that you have to be involved, but also having a city administrator and city staff that do a good job, I think, is just coordinating with them and being okay to delegate things. And also just picking and choosing to figure out the most that you can do. Realistically, the mayor is not a full-time position, so running a business is the full-time position. But I think there's a way to balance everything, just like I have now. We have multiple businesses, and I've been involved in planning in the chamber, so I don't really see this changing as that. So, and I just sold off a business today, so I have more time.
Candidate Begbie?
She didn't sell it to me. You know, you're right. It does take time, and it is a big responsibility, but I forgot to mention in my opening that I'm a veteran of 21 years service in the U.S. Army National Guard, and I was a leader for 19 of those years. And in the Army, one of the best things I took away from the Army is if you surround yourself with good people, it's a lot easier to be successful. And I think surrounded by a good staff, and I think surrounded by a good, conscientious city council that is united with one goal, and that goal is what's in the best interest of the citizen, is what my goal is going to be. And I am a busy guy, but I do have enough time for it, and I put aside time for it because I felt it was that important that we get somebody with business experience in a leadership position to do exactly what I plan to do, and that is just to straighten out what I feel is wrong.
Thank you. Our next media question will be from Extreme Media, Tyson Havernick.
Well, Jay and Jackie, thank you so much for being here, and for the League of Women Voters for putting this on, and for all of you for attending and being part of the process as we move closer to November. My question revolves around city infrastructure. And you take a look at budgets, and I don't care whether they're budgets for your business or budgets for you at home. Going to the grocery store today was an adventure on the pocketbook. We all are stretched pretty thin. We have needed services, a jail, a city hall building. Those all come with price tags, X million for a new jail, X million for a new city hall. What are your plans for, if you're elected mayor, to implement maybe some cost-saving measures so that we can get those projects done, but get those projects done in an effective manner and at a decent cost to all of us citizens of Hastings?
Well, bottom line is I've been a businessman for 38 years now, and I didn't get to be able to sit in front of you as a successful businessman by wasting a lot of money. You have to cut corners where you can. You don't want to cut services, you don't want to cut jobs. But sometimes responsibility comes with tough decisions. And you have to be willing to make those tough decisions. And currently, our city structure with the budget issues that we're facing needs a lot of work. I think everybody can see by the council meetings that we've had recently that the budget is a big issue that we have to look at. The budget is going to be a big issue going forward. We can't run a $1.6 million deficit, and we can't run red ink, and that's what I don't plan to do here in Hastings. I plan to tighten up the budget, trim the fat where we need to, work with people as much as we can. If we get to a point where the city staff needs to be cut, we won't cut the city staff. We will just let attrition take place and not replace those positions in order to cut some money.
I would say a lot of the same, obviously being a business person as well, we can't run in the red or our business is gone. That's just what it is. And so bringing that experience to City Hall, some of these projects, it's really hard to watch sometimes. I was part of the strategic plan, and for me, watching, a $25,000 survey out to everyone, and I'm like, well, I can get out and talk to people. So I think there's just a lot of little things like that, being a business person and seeing that from the outside, that why are we spending money on this, or where can we cut stuff, is really important to me. And so going in and seeing that, and also just speaking up. I think that's a lot of the problem, is people get into the usual day-to-day. A lot of our boards have the same people, and so we don't see that we need to make changes. And so I'm probably on the same page with Jay with a lot of this, that we just we need to look closer at our budget, and there definitely probably needs to be some changes, but I think that's an issue all over the country, so.
Thank you. We will now move on to questions that are from the audience, and we do have a lot, so we'll get to as many as we possibly can. What do you think the role of the mayor of Hastings is? Candidate Krantz? Sorry.
The role of the mayor I see as someone that unites the city and that works with the city council to get things done. That also works with our city staff a little bit. I think the city administrator kind of runs the city, but you're the person that oversees. I mean, no one says, my snow didn't get removed, I better call the city administrator. They say, you better call the mayor. So I think you're just that overall person that needs to make sure that everything is running smoothly and make sure that that everything is getting done, I guess, that it's getting delegated to where it's getting delegated, or that where it needs to get delegated.
Okay.
In a mayor council type of city government, the mayor is a relatively weak position, but the mayor needs to be, what I was in the Army, a team leader. A mayor needs to unite the city council around a goal, and bringing that goal to fruition through the city council. The city council is designed to be oversight in our city government structure for city staff. The problem I see the last probably couple decades is, I believe the shoe's been on the wrong foot. I believe the staff has been guiding the city council, and the city council has been very lackluster in their performance as far as their guidance towards the city government that we have. I plan on uniting that city council, bringing them together, one goal, the citizen of Hastings, Nebraska, and what's best for them. Whether it's spending, whether it's accessibility, whether it's accountability, whether it's just asking questions. That's what a mayor needs to do, bring them together to ask the tough questions.
Okay, next question. What do you see as Hastings' greatest need at this time, and how would you address it?
I'm not sure there's any one greatest need at this time. There's some big needs at this time. One of them is housing. So far, we're looking to the future, and we're going to create some housing projects that are going to take up about a half of what has been deemed that's necessary. We've got about a 1,300 house shortage. We're looking at about 650. I think, my plan hasn't changed since I started. Strong leadership is a huge issue in this town. We need to get the shoe on the right foot, get the city council acting like the city council, and guiding the city staff towards what the citizens' goals are, whether there be cutting the budget, which is a big item, housing. I'm also looking at, a big item is bringing industry to this town. And there's ways to do that, and there's ways to be proactive and work together with our boards and with our city government in order to bring some more industry to this town.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
You bet. I was just going to say, if anytime you need me to repeat, let me know. What do you see as Hastings' greatest need at this time, and how would you address it?
To me, I think the greatest need of Hastings is just the image of ourselves, the way we see ourselves and the way we portray ourselves to others. And I think just getting excited about Hastings and getting everyone around us excited, I think sometimes that we forget how great Hastings is. And so if I could change one thing that I think Hastings needs is just to see how great it is here.
I'm getting motions from people. Could you speak a little more clearly into your microphone when you do answer? Thank you. And I know you've got the other problem, and I think that's when it angles to the speaker. Okay. Let's see, the next question. How would you get the elected city council members more involved in the budget process versus now, where non-elected department heads do 98% of the spending planning?
Well, personally, I think the city council has been involved, and they were involved this year. But I also think that our city staff, that's what they're paid to do. That's their job. So naturally, they are going to be involved in the process. And so yes, meeting with them and approving the overall, but as far as that's what we pay our staff to do, and just making sure that we have good staff to do it. But our city council, or our city staff should be the one doing 98% of the budget planning, because we're paying them to do that. And if they're not doing it right, then we need to get rid of them. But if they're doing it right and the council can get together and say they're doing good, the council shouldn't be spending hours doing this.
Leadership is the key. Leadership of the city council, organization, getting together with the city staff. The city staff are the experts. The city staff knows the ins and outs of the daily activities, but also the city council has been elected to represent the citizen. And when the city council says we need budget cuts, then the city staff needs to get together and react. And that's all about leadership, and it's strong leadership. It's asking questions, it's working together, it's coming prepared to the meetings, prepared to ask questions, prepared to seek out new ideas, possibly new ways to implement what our leadership style is. So I just think it goes down to leadership. And I think keeping up with the city staff and letting those experts have oversight by a city council.
Okay, thank you. What past board experiences do you have that would help you serve as mayor? And or what other local organizations have you participated in that may provide perspective in the position?
I guess I haven't been involved in any boards. My life experience is what I rely on. My leadership experience in the United States Army, and my leadership experience of 38 years in a very competitive industry, staying alive and staying afloat in economies that have been up and down. I mean, I've lived through the 90s, the 2000s, I've lived through COVID, I've been through it all with everybody that's in this room. We're all old enough to know what that's all about. And perseverance. Perseverance is something that I've been a fighter my entire life. And I'll fight for the citizen, I'll fight for what's right, and we'll get to the bottom of what we need to get done.
I've been involved with the Planning Commission in Hastings, as well as the Chamber Board a couple years, and then on the strategic planning. But really, more than the boards or anything like that, what prepares me is being a business owner for the last 14 years, but 10 in Hastings. And so that's the stuff that every day, when you write your own paycheck, you learn a lot about yourself. So that is probably the best thing, more than the boards, that I'd say I bring.
Okay. Do you have any suggestions as to what could be eliminated from the city budget?
I think it's a year-to-year thing that you kind of have to dig in. I mean, my first thing obviously was being part of the strategic plan. Let's work with that. Another thing, I think you've got to look at what are other cities doing. Right now I think Hastings has a city administrator and they have an assistant city administrator. And in talking, one of my employees, that her husband works in Fremont, they don't have that there. So I think the biggest thing is, we talk about comparability in pay, but we don't necessarily sometimes look at the comparability in positions. And I think that we definitely just need to look at what are other people doing, how are they doing it better, and how can we change to do better as well.
Can you repeat that?
Do you have any suggestions as to what could be eliminated from the city budget?
Looking at the city budget over the past several months, I went down and had one printed out for myself, and I've been through it, up, down, all around, all 337 pages. I'm sure the city staff's well aware of how big it is. I don't think you can put it down to one thing. There's so many things that can be cut. Obviously you look at the city staff and you look at different city positions and comparability studies and say, where do we need to be? Where do we need to trim? What can we combine positions in? So that, but that's not all of it. The wasteful spending that's been going on in this city for years is something that needs to be addressed. $10 million on a city hall that 20 people are employed in and they're working every day, that very few people, probably 95% of the people don't even use the city hall on a regular basis. There's so many ways to get around spending like that. There's so many ways to get around wasteful spending in interdepartment, and that comes down to oversight of the department heads by the city council.
Our population has remained stagnant for several years. How do you plan to help grow Hastings?
Well, I've got kind of a three-phase plan. First of all, we need to look at the housing issue, and we are addressing that currently. The current administration was getting to that with the housing. Secondly, we need to look at what we offer here in Hastings. We've got a lot of things to offer companies to bring industry here. We've got 2 intersecting railroads. We're right off the interstate. We've got great school systems. I mean, we have so many ways to entice people to come here, but we need a committee, or maybe to give it to the HEDC, to go out and reach out with, whether it's a computer-based program, however we need to reach out. We need to get a committee together and focus on getting out to those outlying businesses out in the edge of Lincoln, Omaha, Kansas City, that they're struggling to get by because of the cost of living, because we can promote the cost of living, how low it is and how safe our city is, and bring those industries to this town.
My plan is just, we need to promote Hastings in general. That I think that we wait for people to come to us and we just wait. We need to get out there and we need to recruit people. And whether it's a city effort or a chamber effort or an HEDC or anyone, we just have to recruit it, and we have to have a positive image of Hastings, that Hastings is a great place to be. I mean, as I mentioned before, I'm someone who did not want to be in Hastings. I thought this is crazy. I was in Omaha for 10 years before, and I loved it in Omaha. But coming here, it's just such an amazing place to be. So I think we just need to promote that to other people, and I think there's ways to get people out, or ways to get that word out that Hastings is a really great place to be.
Okay, thank you. Is tax increment financing a good way to expand business opportunities in Hastings, or is it being overused?
I do think that there are some ways that it could possibly be overused, but I've seen so many good things with tax increment financing. Our business, we were on a little corner of First in Denver, and we were able to get into a building due to tax increment financing. We immediately went from 3 employees to 10 employees. I was just talking to the building owner. I was not the recipient of tax increment financing in that project, Jeff Brandt was, but in talking to him, it's 15 years that you can use it up to. And I was just saying, well, is it going to go to 15 years? He's like, no, not even close. And if I sell my building to someone, it's really not. It's going to be done well before. But just seeing our business grow and what we can bring to Hastings, tax increment financing has been a good thing. And now again, with our new building, we are able to grow our business as well. I just hired 3 more people that are full-time people in Hastings. And so I guess I see the good in tax increment financing each and every day.
I think TIF, or tax increment financing, has been something that it's brought a lot of opportunity to a lot of cities, and I think we've done well with it. But like the question alludes to, I think there is some overuse of it, and I think there's some misuse of it. I think the state of Nebraska is looking at revising their tax increment financing legislation to address some of the misuse of tax increment financing, and I don't like the fact that a lot of developers, they will hold a city over the barrel, so to speak, with tax increment financing, because we'll either come here if you give us tax increment financing, or we won't. And I think that's where some misuses happen. I really need to look a little bit more into tax. I've never been offered it. My issue is with tax increment financing. So far, I see it's offered to certain people, and I think they pick winners and losers on tax increment financing, and I think it should be available to every citizen.
Can I have a rebuttal there?
Oh, I think that's good.
Or how does that work?
Yes, a 1-minute rebuttal.
Okay. I don't think in Hastings that's necessarily, true. I think that the tax increment financing is available to everyone. I think it's confusing, so sometimes you have to have the resources to help you. But I do think tax increment financing is available to everyone. I also will add that yes, the state of Nebraska needs to look at it. I think a lot of times people want to attack TIF here in Hastings. Like you said, we're basically at the mercy of developers. That it's not necessarily something Jay and I need to say, we're not doing tax increment financing, but that needs to be your state legislatures, Dan over here or Michelle. They're the ones, if there's problems with it, it needs to be taken care of at a legislative level, and that way we are not being, held at a disadvantage here in Hastings for not using it while other cities aren't. So I think it's something that needs to be done at the Nebraska level and not the Hastings level.
Can I do a rebuttal?
No, you cannot do a rebuttal of a rebuttal. No rebuttal of a rebuttal.
That was announced.
Okay, you can address it within your next minute on the end when you're answering the next question, if that's what you want to do. All right, next question. Where else can we generate revenue to maintain a community where people will want to live?
First of all, I'll go back to that tax increment financing, it's hard to say, real quick. And I just wanted to say that the only reason I brought that up wasn't to attack Jackie or anybody else that has used tax increment financing to their advantage. My point was I have been approached by at least a handful of people that have came to me and said they were trying to get tax increment financing and were discouraged. And they were and first of all, because it was confusing. Second of all, because they were flat out said, hey, look, we don't do that in your arena. And I just think that should be open to everybody, and everybody should have the same opportunity. And what was the question, real quick?
How do you generate revenue?
10 seconds.
Revenue.
How do we generate revenue as a
Yes.
city? I mean, that's a tough question just to answer in a minute. I mean, there's so many different ways that.
And your time is up.
I'll get back to
Give
you.
us 30 more seconds.
Nope, that's not the way that works, sorry.
Closing statement.
Where else can we generate revenue to maintain a community where people want to live?
I think that goes again to the promotion of Hastings and having different events, getting some kind of entertainment committee together where we can bring people in that just, that you look at the softball fields and what they've done for Hastings, and every time they're here, there's people staying in hotels, eating in restaurants. And so just continuing to have events here and then supporting them and getting our citizens out to volunteer when we do have those events so that we can make Hastings a place that people want to be at.
Okay, next question. As local business owners, what hurdle or hurdles have you encountered that, with your position as mayor, you would like to see simplified or streamlined for those who are seeking to become business owners such as yourselves?
I haven't necessarily faced too many hurdles. I've been told I have a fire inspection on Friday, and I've been told that's going to be a hurdle, so if anyone knows how to get over that hurdle, let me know. But I have found that the city staff has been mostly helpful with getting everything through. I have heard from other people that it's been a challenge. I had someone that messaged me when I had posted about my sign that they had problems getting a sign, and that's something I would like to see changed, because I think if a business comes here and they want to put a sign out, they should mostly be able to put a sign out. And so I think just being more business friendly is definitely really important. Just whether it's Jay or I, just bringing the perspective of a business person, I think is really important, because sometimes when you're not in it, you forget those things. And so I think you're lucky whoever you get, because both of us have that business experience to say, let's promote business here.
Real quick to touch on that other point, revenue to the city. I mean, promote industry. We need to bring industry to town. We need to give them enticements to come to town. We need to give them, the tax increment financing is a great tool. Also, just letting them know that this is a great place to live, a safe place to live, and a lower cost of living than where they may be experiencing where they have a business currently. So just promote industry coming to town is the biggest way I think you bring revenue to the city. And then that other question was, 30 seconds.
Hurdles encountered, fix it.
Hurdles encountered. Had a few hurdles in my day. The biggest thing I see right now is regulation. Regulation of the city inspectors and regulation of and enforcement of the city codes. I've talked to a handful, and I'm not going to mention their name, but they're very prominent developers in this city, and one from outside of the city. And they have told me flat out, they do not want to develop in Hastings. They will go elsewhere and spend their money because of the regulations and the hurdles they have to jump. We have to get
Time is
control of that.
Thank you.
I'm now on track now with the question. Caught up.
Are you sure?
Caught up.
How will you help the city stay within the budget and reduce spending?
Well, I mean, I think that's what we already talked about a little bit. I mean, you know, everybody's feeling the crunch right now. I don't think there's anybody out in this crowd that has had a great time the last 3.5, 4 years with our economy. And, you know, everybody, we just have to, we have to get together. We have to be concise with the city budget, break it down, work with the department heads, as a city council that provides oversight. We need to sit down with the city council, ask questions, demand accountability. Questions like, how much is that going to cost in the end? What are we doing that for? I mean, just a broad spectrum of questions need to be asked in order to get to a city budget that is not running in the red. It's a simple business. It's just like Bullseye. If I had staff managers running around down there telling everybody how great it was, one cook and one bartender,
Thank you.
it obviously doesn't work. We just need to make it work.
I think the biggest thing is, you know, budget season is now. You don't wait till now to do this. It's an everyday thing, and it's an every week conversation of where are we at? Where are we at? Continuously having those conversations and not waiting until it's time to do a budget. Just if there's places you can cut, you cut as you go, and just a continuous oversight all year round.
Please list or explain 2 or 3 character traits of yours that will help you as mayor.
I'm a go-getter. I'm constantly on the move and doing different things. I also think I'm innovative and I find different ways to do things. With our new building now, we've gotten fixtures from all over the country. We got, I couldn't understand some of the city hall budget stuff because we got track lights out of the Whole Foods in Kansas City for 40 cents on an auction for the whole building. And so I think just being a go-getter and finding ways to save money and doing some of that is, but also just my excitement that I get really excited. I throw myself into things and just, I love Hastings, so being able to show that like we do in everything else I've done is a great quality.
You know, I think persistence is the key. Just keeping at something until I get something done. I mean, I've faced a lot of adversity in my life, and I've gotten through everything with persistence. And I think that goes along with, I don't want to use this in a bad way, but I might be a little bit aggressive. I'm a little bit of a fighter. I won't take no for an answer if I feel I'm in the right. And if you can change my opinion, I'll listen to you. But I'm a very forward person, and I say what's on my mind, and I'll say what I got to say, and I'll do what I got to do type of mentality. And last but not least, and I think this is something that we've lost in this city, and we've lost it in our city government, common sense. I think just common sense. Look at it, does it pass the smell test? That's all you got to do. It's not rocket science out there. Business isn't rocket science, and neither is running the city. It's just a larger business.
How do you see the city and the Hastings Chamber of Commerce working together?
I don't know. I mean, the Hastings Chamber of Commerce and the city, you know, they should work hand in hand. They should work, the city council, the city staff, the great word that I can't believe I haven't heard yet, collaboration. We just need to collaborate and work together. You know, Jackie mentioned events, bringing events to town. She mentions excitement. I'm not real excitable, but I don't mind a good event. I don't mind something, a good downtown. I see a lot of stuff going on downtown now, and I think it's a great thing. Getting people involved, getting the city involved. You know, I think that's very important, and that seems to be what the chamber does. The chamber brings in new businesses. They welcome them, they promote them. It's all about, like I said, promotion and working together, and I think they go hand in hand.
From being on the chamber board, I was able to see a lot of the cool things the chamber did, but as far as like a city thing, one of the things I saw earlier this fall or late summer, I guess, was the National Night Out, and I know that the chamber put on that event, and a lot of the city staff, obviously with the fire and the police, were very involved in that, and I think that having cool events like that get a lot of the community out is really important, and so having the chamber be involved in things like planning events, I know they're doing the downtown lighting, and just continuing to be involved in it. It's just really awesome to see, and I hope that they continue that.
How do you plan to support the city employees?
Well, as far as like a city employee, we don't have direct contact with them as the mayor. They go through the city administrator for that. But as the mayor, you're supporting the city administrator and making sure that he has the tools to make sure that the employees have everything that they can do their job well. And so if the city council and the mayor are collaborating and doing a good job with the upper department heads, then the employees should hopefully have everything they need. But just making sure that the employees are able to talk to the department heads and that there's a good network between everyone to make everything work.
You know, as I see it, the mayor's not really in the chain of command with the city, but with the city employees, but the mayor also needs to be, he needs to be involved. I don't think we've been involved with the city employees a lot for the last couple decades. I think being able to be reached out to and be your accessibility to just the, whether it's a city employee or whether it's an employee of Thurman King or whether it's an employee of McDonald's, I think that you know, you can reach out and touch people and better their lives. But as far as the city employees go, I think you know, the city staff really works down. It's a chain of command where the city staff works down to the city employee. But all you can do is support that city employee, try to keep up with the wages of the other communities around us, and try to provide a good benefit package for them and a good work environment. You know, and that comes through the city staff.
Sometimes Hastings has a project where we need to get bids. Sometimes very few bids are received. What would you do to help solicit several bids, or that more bids are received?
I don't know who made all these questions. But, you know, to solicit more bids, I think maybe getting the city staff to be more workable, working on regulations to get more bids apparent to us. I mean, that seems to be a big ticket item out there with developers, that our regulatory system in this city is out of control, and that they need to open their arms and come with the attitude of, what can we do to help you make this business successful? Put together an action plan to increase your profitability in the first couple of years so we can get a means to an end. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times the city, the regulation is so stiff that they come in with closed arms and they say, look, we need to get this, and this done before we can do anything. They do have the ability to put together an action plan and allow these developers to come in and start.
I think finding more bids from people is just a matter of, sometimes there is a shortage in construction, so you're not going to get a lot right now, but also just reaching out to people and having those connections that, you know, if you're not, just letting everyone know, I guess, and again, that's what the promoting Hastings and promoting the projects here, which some of that is the regulatory, making it a friendly environment that developers want to put a bid out here. And so I think that's really important, that we just go ahead and let people know that, hey, Hastings, you want to bid for this project, like, we're great to work with. And so being a positive community that people want to be a part of is definitely what help get bids.
What should Hastings do to keep our young people in town or get them to come back after college?
I think again, that comes to promoting everything that's great here. Our downtown is thriving. We're having a lot of different things like our bars, you know, the Tank. You can go downtown, all these different places. I think it's important that we promote that to people, that there is a lot to do for young people. As someone that didn't want to come back here, there was a lot of reasons I didn't, and once I'm here, I'm like, there actually is a lot to do here. It is a great community to be in, and so I think we just have to really promote that Hastings is great, and we also need to have the jobs available. The other piece is the housing, which I know that we're working on right now, and there's a couple developments going, but definitely we have to have housing for young people. That's a struggle for everyone. If you don't have any place to live, you're not going to stay here. So keeping on housing and then promoting that Hastings is great.
You know, I'll put it up in 3 words: jobs, jobs, jobs. I mean, we need to bring industry to town. We need to entice, I know I've said it a couple times, we need to entice industry to come to this town to develop. We've got a great trade school here, and we've got a great professional school here. We've got kids graduating all the time, and we lose them to other cities because we have not developed our industry in this town. We need to give tax incentives. We need to go after them with promotion. We need to promote the good in this city to companies wherever they are. I don't care where they are. You can promote it through the internet. You can promote it through. I would like to get a separate board, a committee together that is just about promoting Hastings and promoting Hastings industry, and get a couple good business leaders in town that can go out and be kind of a headhunter for Hastings and show what advantages Hastings has and why they should bring their business here and why their employees would want to come here. Hand it off.
Okay, switching gears a little bit. What ideas do you have for improving childcare options in Hastings?
Well, besides enticing the child care professionals into more child care centers, you know, I had an idea, I had a dream, and it was the city building cost so much, $10 million. I can't imagine that we couldn't save $5 million doing that. The one thing that the city hasn't done, and the city staff hasn't done, is listen to the $25,000 surveys that we did. Some things that I brought from those surveys were people wanted a senior center. People in town wanted to expand daycare. Those were 2 big things. Some people wanted an athletic center, a field house for our youngsters. You know, we waste so much money spending our wheels on a city building the Taj Mahal, where we could imagine what $5 million could do if we could save that to build a senior center, and then take those seniors and employ them as our daycare people, give them a job, and put a daycare center right in the senior center and solve our problems. I mean, it's just working together.
What ideas do you have for improving child care options in Hastings?
You know, childcare is, as someone who's had childcare, recently, my kids are pretty young, we were very lucky that we found a great place, but I think just promoting that, I know with the Y, the PAC, and the Y had a partnership, so I think just finding those partnerships and where can we partner up and what organizations can help each other, and just, again, collaborating. But, you know, I think there's groups that can help with the childcare if there's different needs, you know, like with Mary Lanning, they have now the child care for their employees, and just finding more organizations around town that can do things like that.
All right. What is your leadership style?
Leadership style is just to train your employees and train your people to do well, and then sit back and watch them do a great job. And if you have to step in, you step in, and you can guide people along, but really just empowering others to do their job and do the work that they can do, but providing the training so they can do it well.
I don't know if it's really a leadership style, but I just call it lead by example. Work hard, work diligently, Demand accountability of my employees, demand accountability of my city, demand accountability of your city employees and your city staff as a mayor and as a city council. You know, I don't shy away from it. I'm a conservative Republican, and I know it's a nonpartisan race, but my values are, you know, my national values are strong borders, strong leadership, strong economy. I'm a pro-life guy. I'm a pro-Second Amendment guy. I'm a pro-First Amendment guy. I'm a pro-cop guy. I'm a pro-America guy. And that's just my leadership style. And it's going forward and pushing forward and working together. That's the biggest key. That's what I've done all my life. It's just it just matters to working with each other.
As mayor, you not only work with the city, but also with Hastings Utilities. How do you see yourself working with other city entities?
Well, I tell you, I took the opportunity here I think it was about 3 weeks or a month ago to go into a utility, they had a board meeting there about the utility budget to learn more about it. And I got to meet all the utility, the heads of the utility company, got to interact with them. There was one board member there, and I got to meet, is it Derek Zeisler? Is that Derek?
Yeah.
Zeisler, and he's a very good businessman. And I think working hand in hand with him will be easy because he's a very intelligent guy. Diving into it, you know, I don't know the intricacies of how the utilities work with the city government right now. It's kind of a separate entity, and we do need to look at bringing those two entities together and working together. And I think Derek's a very good guy to start that process off.
I think the utilities, it might be a different entity, but it's also just like any other department in the city. You have your department heads, just like Derek, along with all the other department heads that you work together with the department heads. They have a board that oversees everything, and so working with your board members and making sure everything is going as it should as well, but just leaning on that board and leaning on that department head to make sure that that branch of the government is working great, just like every other branch.
Okay. No, I still have more. I just thought you were writing me one. All right. Why do you believe you could serve the residents of Hastings better than your opponent?
Serve better? Well, you know, that's a really hard question. When we started this thing, I thought, ugh, Jay Beckby, ugh, what's this guy? I mean, but you know, I've gotten to know Jay, and I like Jay, and I'm not going to sit up here and say I'm better than him. I think that he's a great leader. I think that I'm a great leader, and I think you're lucky whoever you got. And I'm not going to say that I'm better than him because I think we're both very different. We bring different qualities, which you can see by us answering questions, but I'm not going to sit up here and say I'm better than Jay. We both do different things, and I think Jay's a good guy, someone that I would consider a friend, and I hope he would say the same, but I think that's a crazy question.
That's a question y'all want us to box it out. You know, I kind of, out of the same sentiments, you know, when I first met Jackie, I didn't know what to think either. I met her husband, Matt. I met her family. We've done a couple of events together. And I don't think either one of us are in this to destroy this city. I think each one of us brings something different to the table. A different leadership style, a different mindset. I mean, you can't argue that, you know, there's a different mindset up here in how we get things done. But I think she's been successful in her business. I've been successful in my businesses. I don't think either one of us is up here to destroy anything that Hastings has done. I think we're looking toward the future and trying to better it any way we can. So I don't want to say that I'm better in any way either. I just want to say I think you're going to get a winner either way.
Thank you. Those are the questions that we have. So many of the questions that came from the audience were all in the same categories. Those were summed and put together, so if you feel like your question didn't get asked, it was probably part of a conglomeration. So at this time, though, we will conclude with our 1-minute closing statement from each candidate. Candidate Cranston will go first.
Well, again, I'm Jackie Cranston, and I've enjoyed the opportunity to get out campaign and meet so many of you. It's such a cool opportunity to be able to do something like this, and just being able to serve the people and give back to Hastings is just something that it's unexplainable. It's just a really cool feeling, and so I've enjoyed everything about this process, and I would love to be your mayor. So thanks for everyone for your support, and thanks everyone that's been involved. It's great to see so many people out here as well. So.
You know, I've been in this town 50 years, and I love this town. I've brought up 2 kids in this town. I plan on, and I think they plan on staying here. I know my girl does, and I think my little boy who knows what is in his future. But I want there to be a future for him. I didn't wake up one day and just decide, my God, I think I want to run for mayor of Hastings, and I think I want to subject myself to speaking in front of this crowd right now. You know, and. But I have a passion, you know, and I'm tired. You know, I've grown tired of the status quo. I think a lot of the city has, and that's why there's so much interest in the mayoral race. You know, I'm tired of excuses why we don't grow. I'm tired of a lot of things, and I was tired of looking in the mirror and saying to myself, why don't you try to do something about it? So here I am. I'm trying to do something about it, and I tell you what. I'm going to give it 100%. I'm going to lead a staff that's going to give 100%. And that's 100% of my time. Thank you so much for having us out.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to make a public apology for mispronouncing Jackie's last name all evening. I am so sorry. It does make a difference, and I wrote it wrong initially and stayed in my mind. At this time, I would like to thank the candidates, the media, the sponsors, and the audience. Please take a paper listing the upcoming League of Women Voter Hastings forums, and please take a card explaining the new voter ID requirement. The next forum will be Tuesday, September 24th, 7 to 8 p.m. here at the YWCA. Of course, sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Hastings. There is also an upcoming League of Women Voter Hastings voter registration event, and that is on Monday, September 23rd at the Good Sam Village Senior Center from 12:30 to 1:30. And of course, you know that Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. Remember to bring your government-issued ID, and yes, please vote. Thank you all for coming.